Shri Kumarswami College Ausa welcomes all the honorable dignitaries and participants here on the virtual platform for the next on the topic management in optimizing utilization of resources. The college has been conducting a series of webinars, national and international. Till today, hundreds of webinars have been conducted on different topics related with various fields. The webinar series is helping in exchanging knowledge, enriching knowledge, and having intellectual discussions to get answers and solutions to questions and problems respectively. The webinar series has become successful due to the hard efforts of chief organizer and chairperson of this webinar series, Honorable Principal Dr. M. Ambedkar sir, and the moral support of the institution. In the beginning of this national webinar, I welcome him as the chairperson of this national webinar. I am also very happy to welcome today's honorable dignitary and chief guest, Professor Farheen Ahmad from Rajiv Gandhi College of Management Studies, Mumbai. I welcome you, ma'am, here on the virtual platform on behalf of the organizing committee of webinar series, Shri Kumarswami College Ausa. I also welcome all organizing committee members, Vice Principal Dr. S.D. Misal sir, Junior College Supervisor Ravindra Karanje sir, MCVC Supervisor Praveen Utage sir, IQAC Coordinator Dr. Sanjay Kale sir, Dr. Anita Dhole ma'am, Dr. Sudhir Garad sir, Ambadas Khillare sir, Dr. Patwari sir and Dr. Wadkar sir. Today we all are here to listen the keynote speech on the topic Importance of Management in Optimizing Utilization of Resources. But before the commencement of the speech, I would like to invite Dr. Anita Dhole ma'am to give introduction of today's honorable invited speaker and resource person. Please ma'am, welcome.
Thank you sir. Good evening everyone. You are welcome to this grand national and international webinar series. On occasion of Golden Jubilee year of the college, Shri Kumarswami Mahavidyalaya Ausa has organized a wonderful grand knowledge sharing webinar series with the aim of women empowerment and women dignity. This series is going on very successfully and systematically because of the efficient and motivational personality respected Dr. Ambedkar MM and all the punctual participants and all the respected resource persons. So it's my pleasure. I am here to introduce today's keynote speaker, Honorable Professor Farheen Ahmad from Rajiv Gandhi College of Management Studies at Mumbai. Title of speech is Importance of Management in Optimizing Utilization of Resources. She is working as Assistant Professor at Rajiv Gandhi College of Management and Research Studies. She has 2 years experience in industries as soft skills trainer, direct sales associate, etc. Her qualification is BMS, that is Bachelor in Management Studies, MBA, and PhD from Rajasthan University. She is core member of NBA working committee in her college. She is active member of the cultural cell and student body committee. She is efficient in MDP module development and effective in creative desktop publishing. She has published a number of research papers on national and international level and presented also. So with this introduction, I request today's keynote speaker, Honorable Professor Farheen ma'am. Please start your speech. Thank you. Welcome ma'am.
You are not audible, madam.
Okay, so I'll just continue at the same.
Okay.
So since we are talking about importance of management and optimizing resources, now when we talk about resources, this is whether we are talking about everyday life, it is our home, it is our work, or it is our even institutions, because I know the series is arranged by a number of educational people. So at everywhere we have got a lot of engaging things that we have to take care of on an everyday basis. So firstly, we need to understand what exactly is resources is all about. So whenever we talk about resources are basically essential to reach your goals. It can be described as anything that is needed to execute a task. When I talk about this thing, one of the core resources that everybody talks about is the human resource. That is nothing but we as employees, whether we are at institute or whether we are at any kind of organization, if we are working into, we think that of course human resource is one of the most highly dynamic and the most versatile form of resource that every organization needs to take care of, but a large part of it is importance is given to it. Apart from that, when we talk about this thing, there are we need to keep in mind, we have to keep in mind that resources are not only the people, but also they are various other types of resources that we have to equally take care of on an everyday basis. Let's say technology and tools that are needed to enable people so that they can execute tasks. Now, giving you a very good example, since we have just come out of this pandemic, we are still suffering in the same line, but it is we have overcome a lot, a very drastic phase. During that time, we as teachers, we as professors, if laptops and Wi-Fi and internet would have not been there, our work would have suffered a lot.
right? So having technology and tools in our hand has helped us overcome this pandemic in the same scenario. Taking that into consideration, not only these things, it is also the financial resource that we have to keep in mind. Well, while we talk about managing our, or trying to put in management skills in terms of optimizing our resources, so budget that is required to fund your task or project is something that we have to take care of, right? Apart from that, resources management also demands a very close inspection of schedules and timeliness. When I talk about this thing, that even though we have a good type of human resource, we have a lot of infrastructure, we have good technology, we have good machineries, tools in place, we have good amount of money invested into all of this, taking care of it every year, but if you do not have the right kind of planning or the right kind of timeliness, involved in the factor, the whole process of utilizing the resources suffers, right? Apart from that, resource management also involves locations and specialized equipments, just in case. So if you are from a setup, say for example you are an IT company, okay, also for that, let's take the example of being a college. So when we are a college, we know that in college we require different types of spaces. We require a seminar hall, we require classrooms, we require office and admin department, we require a staff room, a computer lab, etc. So if these things are not in place, the daily functioning gets hampered, and if the daily functioning of any institute or any organization gets hampered, it is going to put you into the not so right category, right? So this is something that my first attempt in terms of adding importance of management in optimizing resources, that we have to always keep in mind all the kind of things that we manage, all the types of resources into consideration whenever we are trying to keep our work efficient and ongoing. So it is always important to bring all of these elements together and in sync and in direction with the goal of our business. So since we just talked about resource, I know again I'm basically coagulating management with resource. So what is resource management basically? Resource management is basically the practice of planning, scheduling, and allocating people. Also money and technology is involved so that you can complete a project or a program. They say that finances, staffs, physical spaces, etc. are the key to a good organization. So the goal of resource management is basically to use the best combination of resources to satisfy requirements, while also realizing these same resources are likely in demand elsewhere in business. So we have to, when we talk about optimal utilization of resources, say for example in your campus there are 2 to 3 colleges and you have got good amount of faculties, or you have a very good faculty, good faculty team. So utilizing their talent into an optimal way, so that they are also happy, they are also contributing. At the same point of time, you are making sure that their availability into the different various allied areas of your institutions help you manage your HR, your staff very well, right? So resource management basically stems out from the need of optimization and efficiency. The moment we start thinking that whatever we have in our hand, we have to utilize it to the fullest, and whatever work we do, it has to be very very smooth, and it has to be very very productive in nature. That is when you basically go to turn towards the direction of resource management, right? So the goal of resource management is to use the best combination of resources, so that which will satisfy the requirement, while also realizing that the same resources are likely in demand elsewhere in the businesses. So the core idea, or if we say in simple word, we have to understand how are we going to manage our resources, whatever is available to us. So the rationale behind this concept is that we minimize waste first. So it is not about that we because we are trying to put in management skills in terms of optimizing resources, we ask for more investments or we ask for more resources. Of course, more investments, more resources are going to build make you more stronger in terms of having resources, but to whatever you have, utilizing it to the fullest is the key. So minimize your waste and ensure that high priority tasks have the resources they need at the right time. So like I'll just tell you basically that from the college which I come from, we are a small B school, a small setup of multiple people working together generously, but at the same point of time we people play the role of multitaskers. So as faculties, wherever we have to play the role of faculties, we do play the role of faculties. Wherever we have to turn mentor to our students, we do that, as well as as we all know that all the institutes are working towards accreditation. So we cohesively work as a team. So there is a lot of teamwork, team culture, of actual official working involved in our workspace. So so the same resource can be. So my basic intention of getting into the point is that we have to use our resources or transform your resources in such a way that they can be multiply utilized and taken right kind of benefits can be drawn from them. It is all about transparency when we talk about resource management, so that you can see, you can monitor, and you can attain what is required to deliver your project. So whenever we talk about that we have resource, and when how do we manage it? When we basically plan, we execute, and then we look towards the feedback or towards the continuous improvement or the action plan part of it, right? It also enables you to minimize both the idle time as well the overutilization of resources. Since I'm talking about resource management, there are some key aspects, some key elements, some key components that we see. These are few things that we do it, but today what we are doing together is that we are trying to just understand key, basically trying to put our heads together. We are brainstorming, we are basically listening to this so that we can organize our tasks that we already do more effectively. So scheduling, there are various components to resource management. There are 5 of them, core 5 components which I'd like to talk about. The first one is scheduling, then we have utilization, then we have forecasting, so followed by planning, and the end part talks about reporting. Now, when we talk about these 5, different components in resource management, there are typically these 5 components. The first one, the resource scheduling, refers to the identification, allocation of available resources to different tasks in a project. So before we go for resource management, our first thing that we have to take care of is what is the amount of work I need to do. So before we even start doing resource management, we need to know where exactly am I going to utilize this resource into different projects or different tasks. It can, when we talk about projects and tasks, it is not only the very big, so we only manage resources for the bigger projects or the bigger tasks, or say for example if it is an annual day function in the institution, or if it is it is about some very or job mela happening in your institution. It is then we are going, it is not it is not what we have to do. Of course we do practice such things efficiently, but on a day-to-day basis also we require scheduling. Okay, this allocation may be for the short time or the entire duration of the project. The second core component of resource management is utilization. When I talk about the resource utilization, it refers to the resource capacity utilized for a project against availability. So this is a very, this is a key performance indicator for a project. Okay, in terms of your human resource, this may be understood as time spent by an employee on the project, vis-a-vis the total number of man hours available in the project. So how you utilize them to the fullest is the key. Third being the forecasting part, wherein once resource managers need to forecast source resource utilization levels. So as a manager, now when we talk about resource manager, who can be the resource manager? Anybody who is trying to manage out a different any kind of task, right? So if you are trying to, if you are a teacher, or if you are a manager of an organization, what you do is you basically take care of the whole task. So you are the basic forecaster. So you must know, say for example, if I'm using people in my as a team for a particular task, what I do is that these people, I need to know and understand when will there be when there will be a burnout, till what time can I stretch these people at work, right? So that is where the anticipation part of the resource manager comes into play. Forecasting basically helps managers anticipate additional capacity they need to pipeline projects or any underutilization of resources that may occur in the future. So this is a part of planning that we must do while we try to take care of our forecasting part. The fourth one being planning. Resource planning capacity is a very critical component of the management of resources. Now, resource capacity planning basically focuses on analyzing the demands of resources versus the availability of resources. Okay, it aims to bridge the capacity and the demand gap ahead of the curve. The fifth one is talks about reporting. Now, reporting is basically the final component of resource management. Yahan pe what we basically do is that we analyze the data to find the actionable insights. So just we can just imagine ki if there was a task and I did all my scheduling of the project, and then resource utilization happened. So I'll just give you a very basic picture, that at our institute, whenever there is an event that we have to take care of, we start with scheduling. Now when we talk about scheduling, we use this term road mapping. Okay, so with road mapping, what do we do? Anybody who is the coordinator for the event, they will basically start with chalking out of an imaginary mapping is done as to how what will be the flow of the event, what all things are needed to be involved in that event. So that is nothing which we all, I'm sure that we all pretty much all the faculties who have joined here are doing the same. But with reference to what we are talking today, it is nothing but scheduling for for a particular event. So we basically schedule our resources. The second was resource utilization. So once your roadmap is ready, the second part that we do is we allocate responsibilities to different people, to our human resources. We also look into how much number of infrastructure we have, what is the number of chairs, are the kind of capacity is for X number of resources are available to us or no. So that is where resource utilization comes into picture. And then we do resource forecasting. Resource forecasting में क्या होता है कि now since I know already that this is the amount of people or this is the amount of resources I have in my place, I might as well be requiring more. So that is where the anticipation part of resource manager comes into play. There it is at that point of time we might as well ask for help from the management, right? So after that we do take care of the resource capacity planning, and the last reporting part comes into play, wherein once the whole execution of an event is done, what we do is we analyze the data, we take the feedback, and we sit and do the analysis for the actionable items. So when we talk about this thing, business intelligence and reporting for resources and management is essential for enhanced decision making. So if we are not putting in proper planning and a proper reporting of what was done is not done, so typically that is equivalent to being an unuseful event for the long run. So in future I won't be able to use my the kind of hard work or inputs that I have put into that task, right? So that's why documentation of it, reporting part becomes very, very essential. Efficient scheduling of resources is an ongoing process. All components of resource management calls for a precision driven approach. Now, when we talk about, as it says that precision driven approach, basically it aims to say that at every point we can, again coming back to the core part of resource management, he tried to keep less, less of the time has to be taken care of, and wastage should be low. So the amount of precision is high, the is directly proportional to the equivalent number of efficient work done. So to thrive in dynamically competitive environments, resource managers have to opt for innovative technologies and applications, such as a quick scrum that allows you to get a bird's eye view of your project. So a quick scrum is basically a technique wherein while you are already into the execution part, or in the in planning part, involving more people, getting more perspective, talking it out, or getting views from people always helps, because this just adds to a lot of one manager or anybody who is the coordinator to a task, or who is handling a number of team of people in an organization, may be very good. But when we add, or when we get ideas from people, it helps us get a fresh perspective. That also helps in terms of managing and balancing our resources optimally. So, since I'm talking about, we just saw the components of resource management. Now, why is managing of the resources so important? Okay, so when we talk about managing this resources, so why is it so critical for us to know and understand? It is the first part is, we have planning and scheduling. We have resource utilization, capacity utilization, available and required skills, and resource prioritization and allocation. Okay, when we talk about these things, understanding what resources are available and when they will be available. Apart from that, assessing the skills of each person and where that particular person can be added or utilized. Say for example, in today's webinar also, there was an introducer, there was a person who just talked about, who gave a profile wording. So we as a team, when we are working with each other, we knows our highs or our pros. So we basically know who is very well in doing what sort of work. So utilizing them to the fullest potential just helps a lot. Knowing where people are already committed and if those allocations are appropriate or not. Understanding the true capacity to do work, recognizing that not all the time it can be utilized. So this is also very very important key. Burnout shall not happen. So it goes with not only with people, but it also goes with technology. It also goes with the kind of machineries that we use, and as well as finances. If you utilize finances more, you will fall out later on. If you utilize your people more, if you are stretching them more, they might as well leave your organization and go, or they might start complaining, or you might see behavioral changes in them. When we talk about using overutilization of technologies also burn out. Say for example, when we use computers and stuff, or printers and stuff, if you are using it every now and then, and if the sorted maintenance is not done for the same, again we will be facing burnouts. So this is something, resource capacity, having an anticipation and understanding, plus the maintenance part of it will help us run in the long way. Identifying those prioritized initiatives that the most attention and possibly specialized skills, whichever you require to run your business or to run your institute very well, or to do any kind of task very well, is very much required. So when we talk about managing resources, managing of the resources must be practiced, guys. So this is something that we all do, but today's session basically is an initiative to just think it from a more in a more formalized way, so that we consciously keep doing these things. And so basically it is an urge to for all of us to practice it every now and then, because it has its own sort of advantages. Now, what are its advantages? Managing resources must be practiced because it enables into your optimal utilization of resources. It also helps avoid unforeseen changes and conflicts between people. It improves your project delivery. So whatever your targets were there, you would be able to achieve it, of course, bringing you recognition and reward. It will also not only do the other outputs that we get out of proper managing of resources, is that you get enhanced ROIs. We do get a lot of profit in investment returns. And since I was just talking about planning, execution, and the reporting part of it, the analysis part of it. What we get in hand is transparency, and any place that has got transparency of data, transparency of work, transparency of people, that reflects into their culture, and that is where such kind of places, organizations, institutes grow. Right. So there are a few things that I just like to portray, that there are because of regular practicing of of resource management, what you get in hand is optimal utilization of resources, avoid unforeseen challenges and conflicts, you improve project delivery, enhance ROIs and transparency. So once we talk about optimal utilization of resources, this aims to find out balance between maximizing the productivity of available resources while avoiding overutilization. This basically ensures high productivity, at the same time prevents overworking for an employee. The second is you avoid unforeseen challenges and conflicts. Developing an understanding of the available resources beforehand helps avoid unforeseen challenges. Project managers can identify problems ahead in time. The resource conflicts can also be avoided with the help of resource management. So when you take, so it is just like the puzzle game. If we keep the blocks at the right place, in the right manner, in the right direction, things fall into place. So the same goes with resource management. If you just take care of all your available resources, whether they are funds, whether they are employees, whether they are other any other enriched resource that is there available to you, it is going to fall in place. Right. The third one we talked about was improved project delivery. Researchers have shown that projects with clear resource management plans are more likely to be successful. It reduces the costing, as well as it helps in increasing the profit margins, while fulfilling the stakeholders' expectations. The fourth what we have is the enhanced ROIs. Now, project managers always strive to enhance projects' ROIs. Resource management has a cumulative effect on the life cycle of the project to increase overall profits. Management resources can improve ROIs by reducing costs, increasing products quality, and through repeat business from a satisfied client. And the last one being the transparency part. The effective resource management gives management visibility in your team's bandwidth. Like I told you, when we start practicing this thing, it will showcase. It will show in how everything is being taken care of on a day-to-day basis, how your events happen, how your documentation is done, how you basically do your core work each day. Okay, so it just comes, it adds to your strength. It ensures maximum utilization of your core employees, your staff, while communicating any extra capacity they may have to the project manager. Now, so there is basically an SOP to resource management. Like I told you, there is a planning stage. You have to mobilize your you have to make sure that you can mobilize your team. So you basically have to develop or have such kind of team there, wherein you can they do have that kind of trustworthiness within you, so that you can reallocate them, mobilize them as and when you require them, and make the most use of them. Okay, the third is about managing the resources you have assembled. Okay, as well as monitoring the resources for progress, efficiency, and effectiveness. These are basic four stages of resource management. So whether it is a small task or a day-to-day task or an event or a mega event or your any kind of core working, wherever resources are involved, this is a standard SOP that we follow. Now, there are some best practices in managing out resources for optimal utilization. It is basically to identify and focus on the resources in short supply. As in how do you whatever you have, how to make use of it and do your best. Adopt an objective approach to task prioritization. So you have to be very very analytical about what is right, what is important, and what is of higher priority at present. Okay, and the third is talks about having to develop an ability towards agility to change. So now this is something which is very very important, because change is the only constant, as we all always know this term, that change is the one which is the most constant. So being flexible towards change helps cultivate better utilization of management skills at resource, optimal utilization of resources. And at the end, if you feel that this is something that see what happens is what is the basic difference between a very successful organization and an average organization, or what is the difference between a very successful institute and an average institute? It is the only difference between them is that the average institutes are not able to take care of their they are basically not able to take care of their resource management part of it, right? So if you so the one of the best practices that is suggested here is to get an expert advice. Now since I'm talking about going and getting an expert advice, there are different companies, there are different counselors, there are different people who have an expertise in resource management. So if you call them, or if even for that matter, institute at regularity must adopt to all of these best practices in order to manage out their resources well, which will of course bring about change, and that the transparency will reflect into your working. So I just talked about this thing, and at the end, so this was a small session. I'd just like to brief about what are the takeaways from this session today. That today's organizations basically endeavor to drive innovation within their constrained resources. Effective resource management is not simply a nice to have feature of project portfolio management. It is essential for success. So if you say that we do not think so, whatever we have, things are done, it is this is how we play, this is how we work. Of course, different organizations, institutes are running, we all are earning, but at the same point of time, if we as a team strive, and not only we, it is the management who management of the institute, the management of the organization, they have to play a very key part in terms of understanding of how strongly can they make their resources available to their employees, so that we can bring about right kind of efficient resource management. Okay, we need to, and today we take that in order to manage put in management ways in terms of optimizing our resources, transparency is the key. So we have to document whatever we plan, whatever we have done, analyze it, and of course at the end, what you get out of the documentation is that your feedback, your action plan for continuous improvement. So when you write down certain things for continuous improvement, and the next time the task comes, you will take care of those things. Such kind of wastage or such kind of discrepancies or things will not happen. right? If you lack visibility and vision and appropriate tools to keep track of these resources, you are likely to fail in terms of completing the projects. So we as people, we as any lead person who is who may be a faculty or a coordinator or anybody who is leading a team or a task for that matter, has to have a vision of completing a task. So whenever we take up a task and we have XYZ resources available to us, trying to make sure that with whether you have too much in hand of a resource or you have less of a hand in resource, asking for help is one of the best practice here. If you have got less resources in hand, but at the same point of time, our intention has to be to complete the task. So if the task is well completed, it whether the resources were less or more, doesn't matter, guys, right? So apart from that, agility to change is again, being flexible to change is very important. Developing that kind of team who are open to taking constructive criticism, who are open to hard work, is very important. Getting the expert advice is, of course, this is a suggestion, this is not what everybody does. But better organizations, better institutes, they do get expert advice, they do get consultations, and they make sure that they make their institutes or organizations pretty good by that. So resource management basically integrates the planning strategy part of it and delivery of the to utilize the resources whatever is available to you and help achieve better results and high performance in the projects. So with that, I'll just stop. Yeah, thanks for being a keen and patient listener. And I'm open to questions if there is any.
Thank you, ma'am, for your detailed speech on the topic importance of management in optimizing utilization of resources. Now, after the keynote speech, the topic is open for questions and answers.
Okay, so
I request participants.
I understand that it's the evening time and we all have, but I'm really very so I'll just like to conclude today's talk that I would like to thank Shri Kumarswami Mahavidyalaya from Ausa Latur and also Dr. Bedkar's efforts and his keen involvement in this this webinar series that he has converted, and I'm privileged to be a part of it. And this association is something that I will cherish, and with Dr. Bedkar I'm always there. So thank you for having me here, or to all the audiences. Thank you so much, sir.
Once again, I request participants, if they have any question or doubt, please keep it before Honorable Ma'am for answers and explanations. Please participate.
Ma'am, Dr. Bedkar, can we leave for the day?
Yes, ma'am, you can leave, please. Thank you for your joining here as a resource person. Thank you, ma'am. Karad sir, you do the concluding speech. Even madam may leave.
Sir, we cannot hear you.
Sir, am I audible, sir?
Madam, if you have some work, then you can leave, or you can stay for a vote of thanks.
Okay, sir. I'm here. Thank you.
Is there any question from any participant? Please.
No, sir.
I think there is not any question or doubt from any participant. So after the keynote speech, I would like to invite the chief organizer and chairperson of this webinar for his concluding words. Please, sir, welcome.
Thank you, Professor Karar sir, and today's resource person, Madam Farheen Madam. It was the topic related to our resource management, and she talked about the human resource management. it's very true that when we have some progress, plan to progress of some institute or organization, we should identify the skills of our resources, and by rewarding to those, we can do the progress of any organization. Madam is also having willing to live. So thank you, madam, for appreciation of our webinar series and joining here as the resource person. Thank you, madam. Karan,
Now,
sir, you can.
on behalf of the organizing committee, yes, sir, yes, sir. Now, on behalf of organizing committee of webinar series, Shri Kumarswami College, Ausa, I am here for the vote of thanks. First of all, I would like to thank today's honorable invited speaker, Professor Farheen Ahmad ma'am, who has accepted the invitation of our college and delivered a very nice lecture on the topic importance of management in life resources, and the aspect of the topic has been cleared by honorable ma'am. So we have understood it very well. So on behalf of the organizing committee of webinar series, I sincerely thank you ma'am for your enlightening keynote speech. I also thank the chief organizer and chairperson of this webinar series, Honorable Principal Dr. M. Bedkar sir, who is continuously taking efforts to run this webinar series and to cater different topics so that audience and participants can have a good knowledge of various topics. So I thank you sir on behalf of the organizing committee of the webinar series. I also thank Dr. Anita Dhole ma'am, who has given very good introduction of the invited speaker and chief guest. I also thank all the participants for their patient listening and punctual attendance of the webinar. And I request participants, please fill feedback link so that you can have your certificate. And at the end, with the kind permission of chief organizer and chairperson of this webinar series, I declare here that today's webinar is over. Thanks to all. Thank you very much.
That feedback link, please, sir.